perfect example of a Renault Clio 2007 Sport 197. What a cracker of a car. Except this. Look at that. The dreaded parachute roof. So I'm going to try and strip it off myself and stick it back on. Here goes nothing. Okay. Looks alright so far. It's going to be very, very hard to do with one hand. So, oh, that was easy. Alright. Ah, that's one thing you should do. Always replace your crappy little incandescents with LEDs. Very bright, and if you leave them on accidentally, they're not going to drain your battery. Now this is the sun visor, and I looked for videos on how to change one of these out, and I just could not work it out. There's no screw in here, there's nothing. So I've just worked it out. So one screwdriver in there and one in there. And there we go. And the thing comes out. Oh, what a bugger. Jesus. Alright, so this one's next. So I've got a flat blade screwdriver, and there we go. Oh, did you hear that? And that just clicks out. So I'll do that from the other side as well, and that should hopefully just pop out easily enough. So that's the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide a big fat screwdriver in there. There we go. And feel that clicking out. And I don't want to damage it, but there might be a two screwdriver operation. Okay, so I've worked this out. So if you push in there, there's some little plastic clips that you need to kind of get around. Now I don't think there's any wires connected to this. I can't get in up the top. There we go, got one. Bloody hell. Okay, so I have to remember which way this goes in now. It's like that. Almost needs a front towards enemy sign. So this is the other wing mirror, rear view mirror, and I'm going to basically put the screwdriver up in there and get another one to lever down from the top and pop it out. Yep, and that worked pretty well. So, oh yeah, and that whole top bit's just disintegrated off. Oh, fuck. All right, so there we go. That's come off, but it's destroyed all of this plastic, which has just gone very, very brittle in the good old harsh Australian sun. Tops. So screwdriver each side, lever that out and grab it tightly on either side. Oh Jesus, and give it a pull, and out it comes. It feels like it's going to break, but it doesn't. Right, so these are next. This is the left hand side panic grab, and I've got a screwdriver up inside behind there. So just a little flat blade, just levering it up behind those little clips, pop those out, and then it looks like, I've heard people say you've got to actually yank these out. So I'm just going to be a bit gentle and work out how they come out without busting them. All right, so it looks like the guy was right. You just, so it's like a compression clip. So if you pull it out like that, and you just yank the whole thing out, it comes out. This is the last one. This is the driver's side rear. I'm just going to put a screwdriver in either side. There we go. And you need to put pressure on either side evenly. And not scratch the crap out of your precious Clio Sport. There we go. Get rid of those. Once it's come out, those little blade things come out, and hopefully this should just pull out. Oh, the other ones came out easily enough. There we go. Oh, Jesus. Right, done. Alright, so one of these clips at the back, just get the blade of the screwdriver in the top, push that little tongue down, slide that little fella out. Right, so this is one of the last ones. You can just pull it off with your thumb, it's just a rubber cap. I could do this faster with a socket set, but thanks to the power of time shifting, I'll speed this up. Voila. And just in case I'm fighting the inertia reel in future, I'm just going to tie a knot in this so that I'm not fighting the inertia reel when I put everything back together. The next job is to try and get underneath here and lever all this off. And what I've done is I've come up with this. Some people say use a hoe. I don't have access to that kind of hoe anyway. So I've just basically got a bit of steel plate and I'm going to try and lever it up, get it up underneath and work it, because I believe that there's glue between the lining and the underside of the metal roof. So yeah, I might scratch it, but it'll be the least of my worries with rust in 20 years. So I figured it's easier to go in from the back, just because I don't need to bend myself into becoming a contortionist. Now, there are electrical cables up under here and I can feel this stuff cracking, so I'm not actually sure that this is the best way to do it. This is the last one to come off, just a pair of pliers. There we go, pull it out pretty easy, that's the magnet. Now, I'm not doing so well with this, it's really quite difficult. There are some A-frame clips in there that you can see you've got to get a flat blade screwdriver in there to kind of wedge them apart, so I'm going to do that. So that's on the A-frame. Alright, given how these little bastards slip onto each other, what I've worked out that you do is you just slide the whole thing back until it comes off the clips, and then the whole thing will come out. So I'm going to try it on this side. Oh, there we go, easy, 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 easy. So you can see that it's a clip that looks like that. So if you can slide it out of these mongrel mounts here and just slide it back, sorry, these ones up here, then the whole thing just clips out. So hopefully it'll make the roof lining easy to pull out now. All right, so we're pretty much done, ready to pull the trim out. So you can see how horribly baggy and droopy this is, and it all happened in one night. So I drove a couple of 100 kilometers the other day with this basically resting on my head. It was a pain in the butt, to be blunt. It was not good. So the short answer was I pulled it and it all came out. The only problem is there might be some electrical wires connected. So there are, so all of these little wires that go up into the electronics of the automatic windscreen washers, they've got to come off gently. So you just got to go through with a screwdriver gently and lever up underneath and pull all these wires up. Because if you tear them and your automatic windscreen wipers don't work, not much point having a Clio Sport with all those electronic gizmos. Ugly, but loose. Hooray. Who friggin' ray. So just be super careful with this stuff, because when you look at it on the other side, it's surprisingly fragile. And obviously it's shaped to follow the profile of the roof, but you just have to be super duper careful that you don't actually crack this. You can see that it's almost like fiberglass, but it's not. And now I've got to work out how I get this material off, clean it off, and put some new lining on. Stay tuned. So if you ever wondered what a Clio looks like with no roof lining, there we go, remove my Mk3 hat. It's pretty sparse in here. So that's the top shell. This looks like the perfect cutout for a sunroof, which I wish I had. I used to have a Bora 4Motion which had a sunroof. I love that car. I'm gonna basically tape all of this stuff up and out of the way. 1200 by 1700. Okay, so the next step in Operation Clio roof trim was to get some sugar soap. It's all done now. Bit boring to show you that. Get some sugar soap and clean off any remnant of this foam and this gunk, and I'm just going to let it dry out in the sun because it's pretty wet, so I've hosed it down, but it actually looks really, really good. And then the next step, of course, will be to get a roof liner trimmed and fitted. Okay, so what's being in a car got to do with changing the car trim of a Renault Clio, considering this is not a Renault Clio? Well, I've made the huge decision to get a professional to do the trimming, because everyone I've spoken to said if you use a pressurized spray can, the trim will fall off between 6 months. You might get 12 months out of it. So I'm going to get a professional to apply it. It cost me 200 bucks, but I've been quoted 600 to do the whole thing, so I'm still well ahead. So when I was looking at putting material on myself, and this is the new foam that I got from Custom Coast Trim, the big dilemma was trying to match the colour, and the reality is that when you're in the car you don't actually notice it. Basically you just don't notice it. You will not pick the colour difference, so don't be too concerned if you're trying to match the colour and you think you can't, because you're never going to notice it. Alex from Coast Custom Trim said that the super grip that they spray on just isn't available to the public. They put it on the shell and on the fabric, then wait for it to get tacky, then press the foam into the shell. Basically it's something that you just can't do this yourself, so the material that you buy in spray packs from automotive shops is never going to do the job. So all done. So Coast Custom Trim has done a fantastic job, and it's ready to go into the Clio. Can't wait. Okay, so the lining is now inside the car. I've just realised these quarter trim panels have to probably go in first because they came out last. Basically pull out all this temporary cording, powering things like dash cams and whatever, but basically all of those ribbon cables on the other side, to get rid of the temporary wiring temporary taping that I've put on there, and make sure I put those on the right spot. Okay, so when you're putting the trim back in, put the back corners in first, slide them underneath like that, and then the rest will be easier, so use those as a support point. Alright, so you're going to use your foot like that, gently push this in so that it catches. This side as well has to get, and you can hear it crunching, which means it's being basically busted apart, which means you don't want to be doing this more than once in the life of the car. Alrighty, starting to get there, really close now. So to make sure everything's lined up, a couple of telltales, so you can look at, you should be able to see the thread for the rear child hook support, and I'm going to put all these trims in last because they kind of clip around the outside. So the magnet just pops in, which is this little fella here, and I'm going to screw the put the child restraint in, and then that'll give me a line up point. Okay, so we're in the back of the car and these have to go in, so just be aware of which one is which and where the hooks go, and then they just pop back in. So obviously that hook there is a coat hanger hook, so it has to face down. Now I'm not going to push those clips all the way in because I may need to play around, see how that ribbon cable's come off. So I just want to play around with that to make sure I'm not going to pinch that ribbon cable. Do those things last. So this is the sun visor receiver, and you can see where the arms clip in there. So you just fold those little tabs up like that, just so that it can fold, it can push into this little receptacle. Then you can probably get your finger in there. Yes, you can, and fold those flaps out. So that's how you do it. Hello! It just took a little bit of jiggling, so just a dodgy connection. Alright, in you go.
Okay.
I think this should just slide down and then just the last few clips can just be pushed in. So I really, really hope that's the case. Otherwise, I really don't want all this stuff to have to come out again. At least I haven't pushed those clips all the way in yet. But my light works, mostly. Hey, nice. Alright, see how we go. Okay, it helps if you pull the door seal back. Just grab it, give it a yank. It's not in there tight. Just grab it so you can actually access this bottom area so that you're not fighting the door trim seal. You can see that lines up there. So that's the point where it just needs to be pushed in, hopefully. It goes in, you just have to give it a God almighty whack. And what you also have to do is there's a slot on the top and you have to line that up with the, so you've got a clip in the top and you've got to line up the slot there so you're not trying to fight the plastic that's trying to feed into this little slot here. And then I'm just going to refeed the door seal in and should be apples. Lucky last, so I got that trim in, just needed, it did need a lining, so just be really aware of that. So you've got to basically get that. That's what the bottom trim has to do. So next, and lucky last, is the, I know that's the driver's side because that's where my Bluetooth goes. Great, Renault, you can do an 8,000 RPM hot hatch, but you can't do Bluetooth, and hopeless. So this has to, you can see how this folds in. So basically it goes up like that and just folds around. I just have to make sure that this ribbon cable is out of the way and is not going to get pinched. So quite simply, I'm going to get the bloody camera out of the way. It just goes up like that and folds in, and then just clip it from the other side, and one wing mirror, sun visor. All done. Look at that, all done. One new roof interior, beautiful, and cheaper than what I expected too. Not free, but cheap. So very, very, very last. Pop this back in, and the rubber is on. And we're done. And look at that. Look at that. Amazing. Brand new roof liner. 2007 Clio. Should last another 10 years. Or at least as long as the life of the car.